So my question is more towards a different approach to theism. Um, so I feel like the Abraham people, like people of the Abrahamic faith, give this like weird, fantastical kind of approach to uh, deities and afterlife that I feel like has given like an inaccurate image of religion or just God in general. I'm from Iran, and over the last 2 years, Islam has like dropped from like 80% to 30%. And like my dad, I think, is also an atheist at this point. Like people in Iran have just given up because they have this misconception that if I pray hard enough, that good things will happen. And then, of course, with what's going on in Iran, they have, people have lost faith in the religion and in God, so they prefer atheism. But I guess going back to the point of the question is that, so I'm a Zoroastrian, and we don't necessarily believe in kind of like God having like hands-on, like he's not really, like he doesn't really do much in our lives. He's kind of like the creator that just lets everything happen.
So it's rather like a deistic concept?
Yeah, where he just, he doesn't get involved. When we pray, we don't ask God for favors like, oh, my mom's in the hospital, please, if you could, give her good health and stuff like that, I'd be very grateful. Like it seems like, this relationship with God is more like, what can I get out of it? Like if you give me this, and then I'll believe in you. So it's a separate approach where our what gets us into heaven or hell is just based off of what we do. It's not so much as do we have faith first? Because that's one of the reasons I left Christianity, was because it was faith-based.
Peter, I'm struggling to wonder on a deistic level. I've talked to many deists, and I always struggle to wonder why I should care if there's a deist God, why I should spend a single second. But it sounds like you think there's a heaven and hell?
I do, yeah.
Okay. So how do you know that?
Well, yeah, that's the thing is you can't really prove it through science. It's more just personal outcomes in your life that kind of drove you to that.
You have outcomes in your life. You have outcomes in your life that affirm to you whether there's an afterlife.
Well, personal situations that kind of made me study more into it.
How do you account for this? I've got so many questions. I mean, how do you account for the fact that you're not really describing a Zoroastrian God. You are describing a deistic God. I know that most of the modern religions have an unreasonable reverence for their holy doctrines, but you're not apparently basing anything on the Avestas of Zarathustra, because therein, you've got Ahura Mazda says that all that you praise is to the glory of Mazda, and you're told there that the righteous man ascends to the kingdom of justice and truth under Ahura Mazda, and the wicked man descends into the kingdom of the lie under Ahriman the opposer, which is the template for that later religions came up to make their Satan out of. Mm-hmm. So you're not talking about a deistic God.
Boy, could you reiterate that last part?
Yes. Okay. So the Zoroastrians differ from the Christians not only in that they're a hell of a lot, not only in that they're older than Judaism, but they came up with the concept of heaven and hell, which the Jews didn't have. I mean, they had Sheol, which was much the same thing as the Greek Hades. It's the land of the dead. Everybody dead, good or bad, all go to the same land of the dead. The Zoroastrians came up with this thing about judging people on whether they were good or bad people, and then so dividing the good people to go here into the bad people to go here. Christians adopted the Zoroastrian concept, but with a twist. It no longer had
Yeah.
anything to do with whether you're really good or bad. And the Muslims do the same thing, because the Quran constantly repeats this. Doing good means believing, and if you were an unbeliever, that's by definition doing evil. So
Yeah.
Christianity and Islam both judge not over whether you're actually a good or bad. It has nothing to do with the deeds in your life. It has nothing to do with whether you're a charitable, good-hearted, beneficial person. It has entirely nothing else to do than whether you believed what you were told simply because you were told to believe it.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of what I agree. I think that the Abrahamic religions have kind of got it wrong, where you're a good person if you believe in my God, and if you don't, you go to hell. And I feel like aside from the heaven and hell, I feel like I don't want to say my religion is better than theirs. It's kind of like hypocritical, but I think that it is a more better way of being a good, I guess you say, human being, if you just adhere to good thoughts, good words, and good deeds over, I believe in Yahweh, which is kind of which is also something I should add is I'm pretty sure he's a pagan thunder god, Yahweh. Did a little research with Bart Ehrman and watching.
And I'll give you
I'm
credit for this. The lines of good word and good deed and all of that. That's in the Hadnak Nost, or it's in one of the Avestas anyway. I remember reading that. So yeah, that's at least in the scripture somewhere.
Yeah, no, and really, my mentor has taught me just read the Gothas, because the Avesta wasn't entirely from Zarathustra. Most of it came from the Magi that came during the Achaemenid period. So he just said focus mostly on the Gothas, because those were kind of like the hymns that Zoroaster said himself. And so I just basically pretty much wanted to get your opinion on, rather than believing on this concept of, if I believe in Yahweh or Allah, that gets me straight to heaven, more so kind of like a scale where your actions aren't based off of who you believe, much rather what you do in this life. For example,
Peter,
yeah.
Are you advocating for this because you think it's better, or are you advocating for this because you think it's true? Because I actually don't care about the utility or relative utility between different religions at all, until such time as it's been demonstrated that one is more true than the other, and truth being aligning to reality as adjudicated by predictive power. Are you basically just pitching that your religion is better, or do you have some reason for us to think that it's true?
I think that is a good question. That is a really good question, because my point, because I didn't want to come into this saying that my religion is better, but I just think that it just gives a better representation of religion in general.
Don't. So you see why I may not care.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I just wanted to see like your opinion, because it's. I know you debate a lot of Abrahamic people, and I was just seeing, between these two kind of.
But I you see, until are you here to can you demonstrate in some way that yours is more likely to be true than the Abrahamic religions?
Well, true in what sense? Like in the supernatural kind
true
of.
True that it corresponds to reality and adjudicated by predictive power.
What was that first part? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
That it corresponds to reality, and reality is adjudicated by predictive power.
Sorry, I'm not quite.
There's another thing to consider.
Let me skip the second part. Just it corresponds to reality. That what you believe is more real than what the Abrahamic religion people believe.
Okay, yeah. So that part is the part, I guess I'm like, well, like what we do or what we believe in.
I don't care.
Yeah, what's the value in believing?
I feel like believing, I mean, it kind of gives us, I guess you could say, purpose. As much as it is a religious kind of aspect, it's also a cultural thing.
Right, but that's just utility, right? that's not demonstration of reality. That's just pitching that, you know, that something has a better utility or an outcome that you like better. But that doesn't really matter.
But I feel
Go
like
ahead.
it just, you know, it could push, like, I guess you said, humanity forward. The same way that I guess you could say just atheism, not believing in something, because
but forward implies a direction, right? And we're not all going to agree on what direction we should go.
Right.
So you're arbitrarily picking several things here. What do you like? Essentially, this call is like, I like strawberry ice cream, and I'm like, cool. You like strawberry ice cream? Neat.
Personally, I go for peanut butter ice cream, but you know.
Cool. Awesome. So, do you have something in your belief system other than that you like it or you prefer it in some way that Aaron or I or anyone on the planet should think that you're correct, other than that it's in some way subjectively you prefer it?
Yeah. Do you have a reason that we should believe what you believe?
I will say this. I've been kind of watching you on modern day debates, and I know not to pick that battle with you because you probably beat me in a split second. But I just kind of like a thought, just to, like, you know, as a question, you know, or more so for the people listening, kind of like, you know, it's the thing with just, you know, the supernatural.
Well, that's not like, not actually what we do here. We don't actually just have, you know, thought-provoking people to have, you know, share with an audience their thought-provoking idea. What we do here on the show is that Aaron and I want to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible. And so what we do on this show is we try and have people come and tell us true things so that we can correct ourselves where we're wrong. Not to just like hypothetically chit chat about, you know, things that may or may not be neat.
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand. Yeah, and I just I didn't get a chance to tell you this like in person, so I just wanted to get the chance to kind of like research, and you're still kind of kicking my ass even a year of research, and I mean, you're kind of still kicking my ass over it. But I feel like, you know, with just how the world kind of like moved forward, and like all these like kind of, I guess you say, miracles that you don't really like think about. It's kind of like it is kind of like makes you doubt sometimes, like, could there be something above ourselves, over just like the natural world, like supernatural in a sense?
There could be, but what reason do we have to think that there is?
That's a good question, you know, and it's definitely like something that I can ponder on a little bit more. And then if I have like any questions, I could call back, or if I have something that
call back, because the line isn't here for, you know, just opening up the lines of chit chat, like if you get together and you're high with your buddies and you propose things that might be true. The line is here for, what do you believe and why? So when you have thought about this and you have good reasons to think that someone other than yourself should believe what you do, then definitely please do call back, because if Aaron and I are wrong, or any of the hosts, then we definitely want to know.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, thank you guys for your time.